Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. Hey, today we have a special guest joining us all about how to make a good first impression and up-level your brand. So if you are somebody who wants to either be on podcasts or wants to promote your high-ticket coaching program or services in a way that lands with people, in a way that builds trust, in a way that positions yourself confidently, today's interview is going to be for you. So here we go. Know where you're watching from if you're watching live in the comments, and we will get started. And if you have questions about branding or first impressions, feel free to put them in the chat as well. Hey, Keri.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's great to be with you.
Yes, it's great to be with you too. And I'm so excited to have you because we've never actually had a stylist on the show. So I want you to introduce yourself and how you got into helping people with their brands and how they make first impressions and all that good stuff.
Okay, good. Well, let's see. I have been a personal stylist and I've owned a personal styling firm for over 20 years, if you can believe that. So back before there were smartphones, which is kind of funny, back before there was a show, What Not to Wear, back way back. And I started this business because I wanted to make people feel amazing about themselves. So I noticed people, people pull at their pants and they look in the mirror and they don't feel great about themselves. And I had this epiphany way back then that if people loved the way that they look, it would change their life. And their confidence would go up. They would make more money. They would meet the love of their life. So I designed a system of working with people to accomplish that. And it's been just ridiculous, the results that we've been producing over the past 20 years. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Yes. So let's talk about that, because I agree. I think if we are feeling self-conscious about ourselves or our message or, who we are as a brand, it is going to be hard to promote ourselves and want to go out there and do things, right?
Yeah.
So what are some tips when it comes to first just getting clear on what is the first impression you want to make? What is your brand?
Yeah, great question. And I know that you work with a lot of coaches and people who work with clients. And so I'm going to relate it to that because a lot of people will spend lots of money, lots of time branding their businesses, right? They worry about the font and their website and the design and the photos, but they don't consider how they're presenting themselves. So that is very, very important, sometimes even more important than doing the website and the font and all those things. And the brand has to be consistent, right? So if you create this amazing online presence and then you don't look the part or there's something off, then you just missed the mark and you lost a lot of potential money, potential clients, you lose it. So the first step that we help our clients with is creating your first impression. So isn't it funny? We've all heard the phrase, you never get a second chance to make a great first impression. And we heard that when we were young, didn't we? I think I was like in elementary school the first time someone said that phrase. And yet, no, not many people are doing something about that, right? They're just getting dressed and it's haphazard and they're hoping for the best. So if you can first stop and create, what do you want the world to know about who you are? In those first, today it's more like 3 seconds that you get. So in those first 3 seconds of meeting you, what do you want the world to know about who you are? And that should match the brand of your business also, especially if you're a coach or an entrepreneur. So that's where I would say to begin is come up with 3 to 5 adjectives that best describe who you are. And then make sure that your look is consistent with that.
Nice. I like that, having that congruency. So one of the things that I have thought about when it comes to content that I always come back to when I'm stuck on like, what should I talk about today or whatever, is what do I want my audience to feel? What do I want them to know? And what do I want them to do? And I think where you're saying define your 3 adjectives for what your personal brand is and who you want to be, I think that kind of speaks to how you want to make your audience feel. So if you want to be somebody who empowers others and is confident, like you will probably dress a certain way, you will probably present yourself a certain way. So I like this idea of these 3 adjectives. What would you say, like when it comes to showing up with that consistency, for people who are like, yeah, but you know, sometimes I don't have the time to present myself that way, or sometimes I'm worried that I won't be perceived that way and they won't get me, or there will be rejection. Any tips for some of the obstacles that might come up when you're trying to live in alignment with those 3 words that you write down?
Yeah. So the first thing is you have got to get clear what those words are and what they mean and how to make it consistent. That's the first step. I'm going to just share a quick story with you to make it real for people. I always like using this example, which is kind of funny. But imagine you're at an event, a networking event or a party, and you see this person from across the room. And he's short and he's portly and he's bald and he's dressed like an accountant. And you think to yourself, well, I don't have anything in common with that person. So you just go about your party, right? And then at the end of the night, your best friend comes over to you and says, oh my gosh, did you meet Steve yet? And you're like, no, who's Steve? And over walks this guy and you say hello and you get to know him, and he is the funniest guy you've ever met. You think he's awesome, he's hilarious, and his first impression didn't match. So you would have never had the opportunity to meet Steve because you instantly thought, and again, some people think that this conversation is superficial, but it's not. We're all doing it every day in that 3 seconds, like, do they have value? Do they not? Are they someone I want to get to know? Are they not? So if Steve's first impression matched who he really was on the inside, you may have wanted to get to know him. So that's the importance, okay? Just to put it in an example. And once you can go through the steps of, okay, what are those 3 to 5, maybe it's 5 adjectives that describe who you are on the inside. So this isn't trying to be someone that you're not, right? This is about who you really are on the inside, because when you can have your inside, your inner essence shine through to the outside, it's kind of like law of attraction. You just instantly attract what you want in life, and you can fulfill your dreams. And then you talked about how do you make sure that happens? Well, first of all, take the time to design this first impression. And then, yes, I think the biggest complaint people have is that they don't have enough time, right? I'm rushed. I don't have enough time. I mean, I'm a mom and a wife and a business owner. I get it. Time is, scarce sometimes. So imagine if you just took 5 extra minutes. This does not have to be huge. In the beginning, it might be to create your brand, but once your brand is identified and everything in your wardrobe matches that brand and your makeup and your hair and everything creates this brand, you can take 5 extra minutes. So some mornings we walk into our closet, and of course that's how we all start our day. And if you try something on and you're like, nah, I don't really feel great, take the 5 minutes and find something that makes you feel great and that does meet your brand, because then you're going to accomplish more that day. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
So
crazy
I think
how,
that's so important.
yeah, it's crazy how when you get ready for something and you feel you look the part, you show up so much more confident. Like, I think about when I've done speaking gigs and things like that, and I like put on my blazer and put on, you know, my heels and all that, and I'm like, okay, we're going for it. And you have your, this is something that helped a lot of my clients who struggle with like feeling like they're a little shy or feeling like, well, I just want to, you know, wear sweats all the time or whatever, is having your business is I do think it's important to have your adjectives that reflect who you are, because you are a personal brand. But at the same time, I think sometimes it helps having a stage persona, or like a business, like separating your business as separate from you, and having a confident, you know, person you step into, or you're building your future self. Like, one of my clients had kind of like how Beyonce has her stage presence as Sasha Fierce. So there's Beyonce, but there's like Sasha Fierce on stage, right? So having, what is your like stage persona? Like, who do you want to present and be and feel confident? If you're feeling like not confident right now, because this is all new to you, and showing up on video is new to you, and like, you know, having to look presentable is new to you, things like that.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to have kind of a name, like a stage name or something like that. So what would you say, like, when it comes to putting yourself out there, if somebody's just like, okay, I know my adjectives, it's whatever, but they feel like maybe that's not good enough, or they should be like somebody else they see who's crushing it, or, you know, maybe they just have that little bit of imposter syndrome or lack of confidence when it comes to stepping into who they really want to be and present themselves as, but it's new, and so they're trying to navigate that.
Well, I think that if you look at other people, this is the danger we're all in society, especially with Instagram and all social media, right? Is if you look at someone who's crushing it and you try to be like them, it's never going to work, because you're not them. And the reason most people are crushing it is because they're being authentic, right? So they're being, is it my volume? I'm turning my volume up just in case. So they're being authentically themselves, and that's why they're attracting what they're attracting. So if you try to be like them, it's not going to work, because you're not them, right? And I love what you said about creating a persona. That could be consistent, because I believe in living into the future person you want to be, right? So you're not going to create a brand that says insecure, not successful, right? Like, I don't know, haphazard. You're not going to create that brand. You're going to create what you want the world to see about who you are. And it could be your future self calling you, saying, I'm confident, I am successful, I am, you know, put together, whatever your adjectives are, but you want them to be consistent with who you are and up-level you. But the danger would be having it be someone that you're not. So you wouldn't want to create yourself to be an extrovert if you're an introvert, right? That would be inauthentic, and then you're not going to achieve the level of success you want.
Right, right. And people will resonate with your unique quirks, I think. So rather than hiding them, you want to actually bring them out. And I love what you're talking about with consistency here, because actually today I just did my membership call for the Thriving Coach membership on how to be more consistent with your actions matching your goals and intentions and all of that. And it's the same thing with your visuals matching who you are, as you're saying here. What if someone's like, yeah, but okay, I guess I can do my makeup and hair and all that, but aesthetically, like in my Instagram feed or with my website, I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to start. Any tips when it comes to how you present your visuals? Like, should they be worried about that, or should they just focus first on, how to show up with that energy?
I think they should focus first on how they present themselves. And because there's nothing worse than you have a particular brand or first impression that you're trying to portray. And then you do it online. Let's say you are consistent doing social media, etc. And then someone sees you at a restaurant and it's completely inconsistent. You now confused them, right? And now they're like, well, wait, who is she? Is she that person or is she that person? And that's why consistency is so important. And once you can start being it and owning it in who you are and how you're presenting yourself, then it's easy to translate online. Don't you think? If you're just
Yeah.
being 1,000% you, then obviously you want the world to see that online. You're not trying to be someone that you're not. And vice versa.
Yeah.
Like if you be this persona enough, right? So you step into being confident and being successful and you look the part every day, then that becomes who you are and that becomes how people interact with you, and then success happens.
Yeah, and I would even go as far to say, like, when you show up that way and you have a strong camera presence and your captions are written in a strong voice that's you and all of that, you actually don't need as many frills. Meaning, like, for me, if you look at my Instagram feed, my quote posts, they're not the best. Like, you could tell I made those in Canva, and they're not like super beautiful and branded. I do have branded slides for like when I do presentations and stuff that look really nice, but I didn't even get that until I was like 5 years in business. When I first
Yeah.
started, I didn't have any of that stuff, but people liked my energy. People liked, oh, you're from the Midwest. Oh, I like that you shared your story of how you did XYZ. And so I think it's way more important, as you said, to focus on those things. And then you're
Yeah.
allowed to evolve too. That's another thing I want to talk with you about. Because, like, if I go
Absolutely.
back to my first videos, like when I did my first Facebook challenge,
Oh, girl.
I am like, I'm in sweats. I'm like, my hair's sweaty. I just did a
Yeah.
workout. Like, it's rough, right? And it's not to say that
Yeah.
that has anything to do with my personal brand adjectives or whatever, but it just was more like I was just like trying to juggle everything, trying to get by. And I could tell
Totally.
like I didn't put intention into what I do now, right?
Yeah.
But could you talk a little bit about how has your brand evolved and how have you seen clients evolve, and just kind of
Hmm.
giving that permission to start somewhere and then keep evolving?
Yeah. So, yeah, you definitely have to start somewhere, and your adjectives are going to evolve as you evolve. Um, oh, there was something that you said that I wanted to touch on that I just lost. I'm so sorry. Hold on. What was it?
Good.
Don't you hate it when your brain
And
farts? But anyways, I too remember like 20 years ago, I remember doing videos with friends in stores. I don't even know what we were doing. It was hysterical. I go back and look at them and go, are you kidding me? Um, but I got myself out there, and that's what was important. And it got me comfortable in front of the camera. It got me comfortable asking people to work with me. And that's extraordinary. So yes, you have to start somewhere. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Uh, So many people are not taking action until they're perfect, right? And that is the opposite of what everybody wants right now. People want your imperfection. And I work on this for myself because I'm kind of in this strange world where people expect me to be perfect because of what I do, right? And always look perfect. And yet I'm a recovering perfectionist. I try not to be perfect. But I would say perfectionism is what will hold you back. So it'll hold you back from doing that Instagram live. It'll hold you back from posting your first time. It'll hold you back from asking for the deal. You're never going to be perfect enough for yourself. So you might as well let it go and be you and own who you are. And that's why personal branding is so important. It's about owning who you are and who you want to be and bringing that into the world. Because the world wants that breath of fresh air right now. Don't you agree?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
actually think people are getting turned off by overly, like overly perfect
Perfect.
Instagram feeds or overly perfect promises for like hook statements. Like people are like, I
Yeah.
know that's if you're saying like, get your perfect blah, blah, blah in 90 days, like people are like, okay, really, it like they're not, they want authentic, they want more
Yeah.
truth. And I think that's actually a really good shift I'm seeing. So I agree with
Agreed.
you. And there's a balance between, and maybe we should talk about this. Like, what's the balance between showing up authentically you, but like also not showing up like a hot mess? I don't know. Like, should we
I
show up as like,
don't think I don't think the hot mess is authentically you. That's the lazy you. That is my commitment, is that nobody wants to look like a hot mess. They do because they're lazy and they don't think it matters, right? If you knew the difference it would actually make in your life, if you nailed your first impression every time you left the house, you would always do something about it. So you can look authentically like you. And I mean, sometimes I want to run out of the house to go get a Starbucks on a weekend, right? But for me, it's important to always have mascara on and maybe some colored chapstick because that makes me feel good about myself. So I don't care who I run into, I'm going to feel my best self because even if I have a ponytail in, even if, I have cute workout clothes, like whatever I'm doing, I want to feel great about myself. So once that confidence happens within, it happens outside and people get that from you. So the first step, that's why I keep going back to like the first step is, who are you? Because you're not that haphazard. I'm okay looking like a mess. You're not, unless you have like the confidence of steel. And I don't know that person yet. I've never met that person who's so uber confident that they could care less about, like, they look in a mirror and they're like, yep, I look like crap and it feels good. I haven't met that person. So if you know that person, I'd love to pick their brain about how that is. But um, so I think the whole point about creating your first impression and your brand and walking into your closet and making sure you fulfill that every day is that we have enough tearing us down in the world and taking mind space from us. And we have enough things impacting our mindset that if we can give ourselves this gift in the morning to feel good and to look good and to look in the mirror and go, you know what? I'm going to nail it today. Like, what if every single day, you were talking about your stage outfit? What if every single day, no matter what you had on, you felt that confident? Like, you're unstoppable then. And that's kind of the gift I want to give the world, is like, I want you to be that unstoppable.
yeah. Yeah. And when you ask that question, who are you really? I think a lot of people, if they've been momming or they've been in a career they don't like and they're transitioning into their own business, I think a lot of times they might draw a blank to that question. Like, I don't really know who I am and how I want to present myself to the world. So
Yeah.
do you have any suggestions to get unstuck when people are like,
Yeah.
kind of feeling they don't know?
Yeah. Great question. So first of all, it's the hardest question I ever ask. So I don't take it lightly. I mean, everyone is usually stumped when I ask this question. Like, what? Who am I? So a couple things. First of all, I recommend journaling about it. Taking some time. Don't just have it be a flippant answer like, oh, I want to be this, this, and this. Take time to be thoughtful about it and see what really comes up. The other question I asked to kind of tease it out a little bit is, what would your best friend say about who you are? So, those qualities that people love about you, right? So maybe you're like super approachable, or you're super open, or you're super available, or you're funny, or those qualities that once somebody gets to know you, they know about you. Those are what we want to bring out, right? And then we can sprinkle it with like confident, successful, things like that. But we just want to take who you already are. Every single person is exquisite and beautiful on the inside. And we want to take what's already working about you and then just pull it out. So even if you've been momming, I mean, I have an almost 11-year-old. I've been momming for a while, right? But even through momming, or even through hard times, there's like that core of who you are that's amazing. And that's what we want to bring out for the world to see. We want the world to see how extraordinary you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that exercise of thinking about what would your friends say about you. And where can everybody, this has been awesome, by the way. I've learned a couple new things I want to think about for my business. But where can everybody connect with you, learn more about you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I also have a podcast called Style Your Dreams. So that's the first place. And then I have an online course where people can dive deep. And I took 20 years of doing this with individual people that are uber successful and brought it to the masses. So you can do it and really transform your life. And that's called yourcuratedstyle.com. And then on Instagram, The Style Studio by KB, because we all love it. Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes, indeed. It's a very visual platform too. So it's a great place to express your style and who you are. And one other thing I want to say about why what you do is so powerful and the way that people define who they are and the importance of that is anytime you want to change habits, actions, your results in your life, it requires looking at your current identity and an identity shift. And the kind of work you're doing here when it comes to presenting yourself and who do you want to be and what adjectives you want to be as describing of you, that makes everything else, your habits, how you show up, your actions today, what you plan on your to-do list, come so much easier when you define at a base level, who do I want to be, what's my identity shift I want to create, and that kind of thing. It just all falls into place after that. Now that doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges or it's not going to be uncomfortable if you're trying to form a new habit or something, but it is way better. It's way easier for someone who sees himself, for example, as an athlete or somebody who, I am somebody who works out, to keep working out compared to somebody who's like, I'm just a lazy person. And now they're trying to start working out as a lazy person. Right. So I just want to add that and end it. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And there is no is you. You get to make it up every single day. So why not make up something extraordinary, right?
Absolutely. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Keri. And I will see you in just a couple minutes.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.